Hey, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Coffee with Keira, the exciting podcast where I chat with people about their different careers to teach teens about potential jobs. I'm Keira, and joining me today in the coffee shop is Casey Warnick. We'll be discussing her delicious new business, the Sconery. See you inside! Hey, Casey, and welcome to the coffee shop. I'm so glad you could join me this evening. How's your day
Hello.
so far?
It's been going well. I'm glad it's almost the weekend.
Me too. I've just been finishing school and then getting ready for my cross-country meet tomorrow.
Oh, exciting.
Yep. What city are you calling from this evening?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Nice. What's in your drink this Friday? Lovely
I
Friday.
have a semi-watered down horchata. Have you ever had horchata?
No, what is it?
It's a Mexican drink and it's a milk base, but it has like vanilla, cinnamon. It's kind of like spicy. Mine was iced. It's very tasty.
Yummy. I
Yeah.
have ginger beer with strawberries. It's not
Ooh,
exactly a coffee shop
fancy.
drink, but it's Friday happy hour, so. Well, I've heard a little bit about your baking business, but could you tell us exactly what is your business and what you sell?
Yeah, so my business is called the Sconery, and we sell scones. And we sell, let's see, sweet and savory scones. And right now we're selling them in kind of like a pizza box shape, since scones are triangles. Kind of a more unique and kind of fun twist on typical pastry boxes. So they come in either sets of 4 or 8.
Nice. How many flavors do you currently sell right now?
Oh, let's see. I think we have 6 sweet flavors and 1 savory flavor because I learned that I was selling a bacon cheddar chive as one of the savories, and it was very popular. But under Texas cottage law, which is a law in Texas that allows you to sell baked goods out of your house, you actually can't sell meat. So I had to take it off the menu. So we
Oh,
only have savory.
I did not know that.
Nor did I for a while.
uh, when did you start the business?
We started the business officially in probably July. In the beginning of July, we became an LLC, so officially a business, paying taxes. But the endeavor started in kind of like mid-May. We had our first paying customer.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah, that's exciting. How did you come up with the idea to start this business?
I came up with it accidentally. I was, like many people, feeling very stressed out during the pandemic. And I worked very long hours, so typically 9 to 5, but I was working like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. It was very bad. And then didn't have any release or relief afterward because once you finish work, it was a stressful like time personally as well. So I started baking and I looked up a really difficult recipe on purpose. And scones are pretty tricky because you have to keep tiny little frozen pea-sized pieces of butter in the dough. But it's hard because you're mixing the dough with your hands and with a blender sometimes, and it ggets warm naturally. And so it's tricky on how you keep it frozen. And so I knew if I had a difficult recipe, I had to follow the directions closely and zoom out of all the other distractions that I had in my life. And so I just kind of got really into making scones and trying different flavors. We had too many. I had to get them out of the house or we were going to gain a bunch of weight, which happened anyway from having too many scones. And so I started giving them away and people started asking to buy them. And so it was kind of like a very organic finding of a talent that I didn't even know I had before.
That's nice. a lot of times the best businesses are started by accident anyways, so.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have passion behind them.
Yeah. I am thinking about starting a cheesecake business, and so I'm just getting tips from you. But
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was looking for like something hard to bake because I just like messing around in the kitchen, and I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at making these. So yeah.
So exciting. That's so cool. We'll order from you next.
Where do you work out of? Just in your kitchen, or?
Yeah, I work out of my kitchen, which started being incredibly convenient because I'm working on my day job out of my kitchen as well, since I don't go to an office right now. And so it was perfect, but now it's presenting a lot of limitations because our oven only has 2 racks in it. It's a conventional home oven.
Yeah.
So we're doing that now, but we might have to expand soon.
Yeah. Who taught you how to bake, or how long have you known how to bake?
I've always been into baking. I've never been a good cook. I've learned over the years. And baking is something that I really enjoy, as I kind of mentioned earlier, because you have to be super specific with baking. It's almost like a science instead of an art. Where I see cooking more as an art. You can throw in a spice at the last minute or do more olive oil if you want it. But for baking, if you were to add more baking powder or baking soda by accident, it won't rise. Like the science of it won't work.
Yeah.
And so I've always really liked the specific of baking. And then you can get creative at the end, adding different stuff. So I'd say the first time I baked was with my mom when I was younger. And the first thing we tried to do was make a homemade pie. We were very brave in our first baking endeavor together. And we put it on broil instead of bake. And broil only has heat from one side of the oven. And so half the pie was raw and half of it was black. I have gotten better since then, but it was a good lesson.
Well, it was probably interesting.
Yeah.
If we can go back to like where you work at, how do you get the ingredients? And where do you just buy them from the grocery store? Or?
I do, yeah. I buy them from the grocery store now, which is another thing that's about to have to switch in growth because we need to start buying in bigger quantities. And I've honestly just been a little lazy about it. You kind of have to prioritize when you're choosing business goals, and if it's between researching wholesale opportunities or trying a new flavor. I'm like, oh, I'd rather try a new flavor instead of do that. So right now it's out of the grocery store, but we're going to have to change it pretty soon.
Is there a lot of stuff that you had to learn? Like, are there other like hidden things you don't see behind the scenes that you have to do in order to sell from home?
Yeah. For sure. I didn't realize there was going to be so many like branding obstacles, which is interesting because I work in marketing, but I've always looked for brands that are like developed. And so there's a lot of things that we're learning along the way, like the little things, like the quantity of stickers you buy for the box, the amount of boxes you buy at once, and how the stamp that you buy fits onto that box, and is it matte or is it shiny? And there's all these little tiny nuances that when it comes down to you have to figure out yourself. And so you kind of find yourself deep in details of like how many millimeters a sticker is, and it can be weird to get into, but it's always worth it because you want the product to be perfect.
Yeah, it's worth reading the fine lines.
Yeah.
How does working with this business fit into your day job?
It requires a lot of preparation to get things done on time. Because my day job, it's gotten better now. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was very long hours. But now it's pretty strictly like 8:30 to 5:30. And I usually know when I'm getting off work, but there's always that chance that I'll have a last minute project come up or an emergency need at work. And I can't ever say like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta bake a scone. So it's a lot of balance of making sure everything is prepared. You have all of your butter chopped and your dry ingredients measured and they're all stacked and ready to go. And it's almost like preparing for worst case scenario in your job constantly. So you can prioritize the first or vice versa. So it's a juggling act is how you kind of make it fit.
Do you bake new ones each day, or do you only bake when you have like new orders?
I bake them every day. And that's part of like kind of the brand promise of they're handmade and baked to order day of, which they're better that way. So I'm glad I do it, but it's a pain.
Yeah, I've gotten to taste them. They're very good.
Thank you.
What's the best part of owning and running the business?
The best part of it for me is the ability to be creative. Mm-hmm. It's a really nice creative outlet. Like I said, baking's a science for sure, but trying the new flavors is exciting. And it's a nice way to kind of spin your extra wheels. I'll be on a walk with my dog in between my two jobs, and I'll be thinking about like the pumpkin scone that I want to make, and what kind of glaze it should have on top of it. And if we added coffee to the glaze, then we could call it a pumpkin spice latte, and that would be exciting. And so it's kind of a fun way to just create on the side, and I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Whenever I get to bake, I'm a very creative person, so getting to be in the kitchen and just working and finding new flavors. I've been trying to find a pumpkin one that I could work on this fall, but haven't yet.
Pumpkin's tricky.
Yeah. What's the hardest part of starting and running your own business?
The hardest part is definitely finding the time for it. Mm-hmm. I feel a little crazy for doing it sometimes. And I have to remind myself, if I don't like it, I can stop. And then I still haven't stopped because I kind of like the challenge and the busyness. Yeah. But the hardest part is needing more hours in the day. And I think that's probably common with every entrepreneur, be it a scone or a consulting company. You just need more time. Yep. And so you learn to be better with your time.
Yeah. Never enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Oh. With scones, I think, the dream would be, if we want to keep going down that scone route, I think it would be really fun to have my own bakery, a storefront, somewhere for people to gather and pick up treats. Because right now it's, pre-order 24 hours in advance, so I have time to make it. But it would be nice to be more flexible there and have a commercial kitchen to cook out of, more baking racks, just more space.
Yeah.
But I would say probably realistically, because I'm not a very good risk taker, in 5 to 10 years, if kind of the side hustle and this extra job of the Sconery still exists, I think that would be pretty exciting too, and pretty special that it's just still around and still on the side.
Mm-hmm. But if you do start an actual restaurant, can you move it to Dallas, please?
Well, you have one strong vote for that in my household already. Jake would love that.
Probably be bad. I want too many.
You'll just get them at the office all the time.
Yep. Do you have any advice for anyone who is thinking about starting their own business?
Yeah, I would say my advice would be find the right balance of knowing when to just jump in and take a risk and start something and take a chance with enough preparation, which is just it's just a dance, knowing when to jump and when to keep preparing. We didn't really have this one came up on the side, so we didn't really have a go-to-market strategy. Mm-hmm. It was during a very weird cultural moment when we were in a pandemic. Yep. But I would say if I were to have, quit my day job and started this, I would have had a lot more prepared. So I knew I could jump in and take a risk because I didn't need all of that preparation. The risk wasn't as big, and so I could take it. And so I think my advice would be learning how to measure that risk versus reward, but being able to jump with enough preparation.
Nice. Yeah, I tried starting, or I kind of did start a business a couple summers ago, in the neighborhood, and I was a little over-prepared.
Oh my gosh, what was it?
It was called Neighborhood Helpers. We just went around and asked if they needed help with yard work or babysitting or really anything.
Yeah. That That's cool.
I think
How
we got, we
prepared?
got like one person, but we spent like a couple months of like planning if we got more employees and everything.
Yeah, that's a good example. That's good that you lived through that.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for joining me. Cheers.
Yeah, of course. Cheers. It was my pleasure. And I can't wait to give you guys more scones.
Yes, please. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on Coffee with Keira.